Hi there and welcome to Real Talk Fitness with ANPT. I'm your host, Ashleigh Cumins, owner of Ashleigh Personal Training, ANPT for short. A little about me, for those that haven't listened or just jumping in, I'm not just a personal trainer, I'm also a busy mum of two energetic boys. I know what it's like to juggle work, family life and fitness goals. If you're ready to cut through the noise and join us for episode 14, I have Katie from KFIT Personal Training. She's also a mum, a business owner, and knows the struggles. We're going to discuss about our fitness journey, how we met, and what competing in the CrossFit Open means to us. If you're ready to cut through the noise and get real about what it takes to achieve your goals, whether it's building strength, improving your body composition, or just feeling better in your own skin, then this podcast is for you. Let's dive in to mine and Katie's conversation about the CrossFit Open.
Hello, Ash.
Hey, Katie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm really excited to chat about this Open and share our experience with everybody.
Yes, me too. I cannot believe that the 2025 Open is already done and dusted. That was a very long 3 weeks.
Definitely. Well, how about we start with just giving everybody a little bit of a background, I guess, about how we sort of met and how we've come to competing in CrossFit together.
Yeah. So good idea. Was it 2017 that we met?
No, it would have been 2016, I believe, or even just the end of 2015, because I know that you went to America and you were working at the hotel. And then, you came and reached out to me when I was originally doing PT in my shed.
Yeah, that's true. And I went to America 2017. So it probably was like 2016 that we met.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's nearly 10 years ago. So I met Ash because I reached out to do one-on-one personal training sessions. So I guess that's where my first kind of CrossFit experience really came from, was you. It's your fault.
100%. Like, that's the sort of style of training that I think we took on. And then I guess that's where you sort of started your PT career from. And then we both thought we would try powerlifting in 2018.
Yeah, that's true. So when I did wrap up actually. So I was qualified at the end for PT at the end of 2015. So you came into my life at like the perfect time, because then obviously I started training with you as a client, but then you took me on board and helped me build up my personal training business, and I learnt a lot from you, which I'm very grateful for. And then, because I did a bit of work for you as well. And then, so what year did we do a powerlifting comp? 2018?
2018, yeah. So just my first baby would have been only 12 months old. And we, stepped on the platform at Fit for Kings, and we thought we'd give powerlifting a go.
That's right. And we did that with like no notice, didn't we? Didn't we have like 10 weeks or something, and then we competed in 10 weeks, and we were like, yep, we'll just train now and we'll just hit the floor in 10 weeks and see how we go.
Yeah. And we done some one-on-one PTs together with a powerlifting coach to gain some sort of experience. And then we took the platform with powerlifting, and we both sort of pursued that a little bit. And I guess I still done my CrossFit.
Yeah, you
because
did.
powerlifting definitely relays a lot in the CrossFit world. So, and then I guess long and behold, a couple of years, and you joined me in CrossFit in the cult, you used to call it.
I know, I used to roll my eyes, something shocking, and be like, oh my God, CrossFit. I was such a big hater back in the day. But then I started CrossFit, 12 months ago. And then, you still inspire me every single day. And I used to think, this crazy bitch out here, like throwing herself around on the CrossFit floor. And then we ended up doing a comp together and coming first place, which was super exciting.
not only did we take first place, Katie, we came out of all the events. We came first in every single one except for one by 5 seconds.
True.
Like,
that was
dream team.
Yeah, that was a good push. That was a hard push. So that has been a very fun and exciting little journey for us. That's been, nearly 10 years. There's been quite a lot happening.
Yeah, quite a lot in between. A few more babies for us and ups and downs, and I think it's all part and parcel. And I think that's where I feel that CrossFit definitely has a, I guess you could say, stigma about it. But when you start dabbling into CrossFit and how it fits into your life and gives you an outlet, I think takes away from that stigma that everybody has about CrossFit itself. I think there's a lot more to do with the sport that allows you to let go of things, push yourself, and grow as a person.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's true, like you truly don't know something until you try it yourself. Like, as I said, I used to judge CrossFit something shocking and I really had no idea until I started doing it myself. And I think for me as well, doing CrossFit, it was such a huge mental game, So I was going to ask you, how would you say, what is your experience on the Open for 2025?
So I guess the easiest way for me to answer that, I think the last two Opens, I guess this being my first Open was in 2016. And being the last two Opens, the biggest different approach and I think takeaway for me, and I took the same approach this year as last year, was the one and done and proving to myself you get one chance. Yeah. One chance to really lock in and do what you can and be happy with that and walk away and be happy with that. If I left something behind and didn't dwell on it, every other Open that I've done, I've repeated out of, CrossFit Open started with 5 workouts. I remember repeating some of them on the Monday and sometimes even repeating them 3 times. And the pain, the mental battle that I put myself in to maybe increase my reps 1 or 2 times. I think over this journey, I've realized that there's a time and place for sometimes repeating, but the last 2 Opens and the biggest takeaway I can say is I took it on. I had no expectation. I just said, do your best. Yeah. And when I finished that workout, if there was any slight chance that I walked away going, I could have done a little bit better, I made sure in workout number 2, I done that. Yeah. And same thing, walked away, reviewed it, and done the last Open workout. I never went back and done it again because I can learn from that and grow from that. And at the end of the day, it's about me and what I can do and how I can show up.
Yeah, 100%.
So I guess that's my biggest takeaway. I think the last 2 years is I went in with no expectation. It was just do my best, and whatever my best looks like, that's enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
What was your biggest takeaway?
Well, I feel like this was my first real shot or real experience at the Open. So obviously I started CrossFit 12 months ago, and I kid you not, my second CrossFit class was the Open, and I had no idea what it was or what was happening or what we were doing. But the coach was like, just register, sign up, give it a crack. And so the Open for me this year, I was so driven because I was like, okay, I know what this is. I know, I experienced that last year. I had no idea what I was doing on the CrossFit floor. And I know I've learnt so much and I've grown and progressed so much in the last 12 months. So I was so eager to register and give it a good hard crack for me this year, which was super exciting. But as I was saying to you just before we came on to the podcast and start recording, it did not go to plan for me whatsoever. So I don't know what it was about it. I don't know if it was just knowing that it was a competition and maybe I felt that I was in competition with everyone else, but I never felt good enough in the workout. So like you said you used to do previously, I was revisiting them. The first workout, I just could not get my shit together at all. I was stuffing up reps and getting confused with the scores and the judging, and and I was in my own head, and I had been sick that week, and I felt like I allowed myself to use that as an excuse. But I was so moody after the first workout. I felt so disappointed in myself and that I hadn't done good enough. And I was so, like, I was just angry for like a good 2 days. And then I had 2 days and I revisited it and I went back in and got a few extra reps. But it was like I still just wasn't quite happy. And I really picked myself up on that because I was really affected. Like, my mindset was hugely impacted by that first workout. I just did not feel good enough at all.
Did you think that comes from the expectations you placed on yourself in terms of where you thought you should have been to where you were, in terms of like you've improved massively?
Yeah.
But did you feel like that was a feeling of I expected better from myself?
I think with the first one, I actually had absolutely no idea what to expect from myself, like absolutely no idea. And I think then once it was done and it was completed, straight away I was like, okay, like then I went straight to, this is what I did wrong, this is where I could have gone better. And so that's kind of the mindset that I had once I had that experience on that 15-minute AMRAP or whatever it was. Like straight away I was like, okay, this is where I went wrong, this is where I could have done better. I was like, right, I'm going to revisit it again in 2 days. But the 2 days leading up to revisiting it, I was so cranky and in my feels, like it was not healthy at all. And then so revisited the second one, and again, I think I went out too hot. I went out way too fast, too soon, went out too hot, and again, left that one going, nah, I didn't even have, when you have that mental push when something's physically hard, but you can mentally go, right, get your shit together, let's go, and you can still push. I just didn't have that.
Yeah.
And I think like my mindset was like so defeated from the first one that it really then caught up to me and affected me in the second one. And so again, 2 days later, got my shit together, got back out there and went hard on it. And I think I was like nearly a minute. It was a minute something faster than the first one. So when I did get another PB again. And I was quite pleased with that. I was quite happy. And that's when I was kind of like, okay, I've got to shift this mindset. Like, we are making progress here. I need to stop being so hard on myself. And then I actually injured myself at the end of that workout. So if that's not my body telling me to be nicer to myself, I don't know what is.
I think that's something that I feel that over the years, like definitely when I guess it's the biggest takeaway that I learned over so many opens is that we redo these workouts, and yes, you get PBs, and do you know what I mean? But you live and you learn. Sometimes it's not worth the backlash. Like, we're still human beings.
Yeah.
And your body was telling you that it's had enough. Like, our body will do whatever our minds tell it, and that's just proof of that. Like, you've definitely proved that if your mind wants better, your body will just go along, but eventually something will give.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, I guess the open sometimes can teach you that, and I think that's definitely over the years something that I've learned, and it's something that you can relay. I think if we were to talk into our day-to-day lives, it's like, I could do this and I could get this, but for every step forward, it's like we're taking away from somewhere else.
Yeah. And I think it is as well. I think it's that feeling of like not feeling good enough in other aspects of life where it kind of spills over into something like the CrossFit Open or when you're on the gym floor. And it was like I had realized that, okay, there's something here. There's a lot of work that needs to be done here, Katie. Like, that's quite severe of you not feeling good enough and having such high expectations of yourself that, it's defeating you. And then obviously the last open workout came and I was told by the doctor, you need an x-ray on your hands. You could have a possible hairline fracture. You're not to do the last workout. And I was like, hell no way. And so like I strapped my hand up. I literally cried. I actually cried and screamed throughout especially the wall walks. And I was like, even the owner of the gym was like, Katie, you can do this next year. It's okay to stop. And I was like, I'm not stopping. Like, I have to do this. I've come this far. And so, yeah, I've still walked away with an injury, but I thought, you know what, at what point, Katie, where you should have went, you know what, this is out of my hands. Like, it's okay to pull yourself up here. You've done what you can do. So I think the Open has been a huge experience for me, not physically, but I think mentally and emotionally, because there's obviously something going on there where I don't feel good enough, and I've got such probably nearly toxic high expectations of myself that are becoming quite unhealthy. So it's been a huge learning curve for me, this Open.
Yeah, 100%. So many takeaways.
Yeah, so many takeaways. Okay, so I was going to ask you, like, why do you choose to compete, and what does that mean to you?
I guess similar to you, I guess over the last 12 months when I first done my first ever Open, I joined a CrossFit box for something different, coming from the bodybuilding background and competing in fitness modeling. And I was like, I want to do something that judges me on my performance, not the way I look.
Yeah.
Because I think that's very unhealthy. Then I jumped into the Open and I kind of got addicted to that, seeing myself improve each year, and it gave me 12 months to show up consistently and then take on these workouts and I guess get compared to the world, not just who's in the CrossFit box. I guess coming from that background where you step on stage as a fitness model and you're judged upon, some people are genetically built different. Like you can work your ass off and not genetically look the same, and judged on that. And I guess I grew addicted to being judged on my performance. So the harder I worked, the more I was rewarded. And then I guess the last 3 Opens, taking it on so differently, 4 Opens since my second child, taking it on so differently and going, I'm doing this to see how far I've come and how proud I am of myself, not looking at how much better I could do.
Yeah.
So going in with less expectations, I think 2021 Open was 6 weeks after my second child. So, I've just obviously given birth, and my body, yes, has muscle memory after, years and years of training. Like I've trained for, 20 years. But it's obviously going to function differently. And I took some expectations off myself so I didn't walk away disappointed. And I feel like year on year, I've approached the Open so differently. And I think that's made me appreciate so much more of my training month to month, week to week, taking that expectation away. And it's about what I can do.
Yeah.
My circumstances are so different to the next person and to the next person. And I can have some bad weeks, but it doesn't mean that I don't show up, and it doesn't mean that I need a rest day. It just means that workout might look slightly different. And I think year on year, it's definitely paid off. Like this 2025 Open's probably been the best that I've ever placed, but I had no expectation. I didn't go in there thinking that I was going to do that or put any expectation on myself to do that. I just wanted to be better than what I was the year before and the year before that. So I guess that's sort of why I choose to compete, because it gives me an ability and a drive for all those days during the next 12 months that I feel that, this workout may not have been my best performance, but that's okay. I still showed up, and doing that consistently. Some weeks I'm killing it. Some weeks I'm not so much killing it, but I don't give up. And I think that for me shows in the Open every year.
Yeah.
Is that just that consistency, that ability to, some weeks, some months you push, some months you don't. Which is, I think why I compete in the Open every year, is it gives me that ability to reflect, and then gives me some goals to work on and focus on for the next 12 months, but with no expectation.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, because anything can happen.
And that's crazy, because you see that it's usually when we take like the pressure off ourselves, or we take the expectations off ourselves, where we actually do our best work. Like when you're really kicking yourself, or you're trying to, have all these high expectations and go in and get it done, that's usually where we fall down, or we have a setback, or we're not competing, or we're not doing as good as what we could do. So like from my experience to yours, I look at that and I'm like, that's what we need, Katie. take the expectations down, and you've just proved that you've done your best work by doing that, by going in and just being like staying in your own lane and doing what you can do, whether it felt good or felt bad or whatever. So that's incredible.
Yeah. What about yourself? Like, what do you think that, why do you feel that you're going to do the next one and the next one, and what made you do this one?
This one definitely, I guess, was because this has been it's my little 12-month anniversary of CrossFit. So I was like so excited because I couldn't, I've been training for years as well, but I've always just been used to doing, either touch football or powerlifting, like nothing along the CrossFit lines much at all. So I know I've progressed so much in the last 12 months. So I was really driven to register and sign up this year and see what I could achieve. And it's nice to just kind of step out of that week to week routine of training each day and moving your body and kind of actually putting all of that work into place to see what you can do and what you can achieve. But again, it's good because you can look at it and go, you can just kind of stay in your own lane and have a look at how you succeed individually. But then, you get to look at your results and see where you're sitting, in Australia or worldwide or in your age group. So I saw quite a huge jump from last year to this year. And it's just that realization of the hard work is paying off. Like we show up every day for a reason, and whether they are good weeks or bad weeks, it's the consistency that leads to this kind of progress, kind of what you were saying.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely, it's a massive learning curve, I think, for everybody that, in any sport. Like it's the same with the powerlifting platform, I think, as well. Like I still do that on the off season to CrossFit purely for the same reason. It's, when I step on that platform, I don't want to get the best, the heaviest lift. I just want to improve my total comp on comp.
Yeah.
It's not about the others.
Yeah.
And if that means that, you qualify, or if that means that it takes you somewhere, well, your work's being rewarded. But yeah, I think definitely expectations that we place on ourselves is what leads to disappointment.
Oh God, yeah, definitely. But I think also with these kind of comps, like the opens and even powerlifting comps, it's putting yourself in a position where it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be challenging and it's going to be hard, because sometimes I feel like we don't really know what potential we do have until we get into those hard, gritty moments. And for me, the open was definitely a challenge. So even though, I did have high expectations or I felt like I didn't do good enough, I can, a week later I can go, you know what, I pushed fucking hard. I don't think I could have pushed any harder than what I did in those open workouts. And, without that open workout, I wouldn't have realized the strength and the resilience that I do have, through those AMRAPs where my mind was going, you're doing shit, you're suffering, it's really hard. I still held on and I still gave it my all. So it's a massive learning curve.
Yeah. Hands down, yeah. I definitely think it teaches you a lot about yourself. And I think a lot of people, I believe, whatever they step into in the fitness world, whether, they've joined a gym just to look a certain way, they fall in love with the process, they learn so much more about themselves, which makes them a stronger and more resilient person out in the big wide world.
Yeah.
I think that, a lot of people don't realize all these little things that you learn about yourself and the positions you put in yourself to challenge yourself. Like, as you said, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It allows you to grow and see strengths that you didn't even realize that you had, and learn more about how you go under pressure, and I guess mentally that you can go further than what you think you can.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest realization with CrossFit in particular, is it's more of a mental game than anything else for me personally. I know that if my head is not in the game and I can't have that that mental capacity to really hold on and push in those really hard workouts, then my body's not going anywhere. Like if my head gives up, my body gives up. So like it's such a huge mental game, CrossFit. And I think that's where I've seen my self-worth and like confidence and growth the most is on the CrossFit floor, because I look at something or I start doing something and I'm like, oh my God, this is hard, or this is shit, or I've never done this before and I'm not capable. But then, I kind of switch the head into gear and I get it done, or I push hard, or I exceed, the expectations I did have of myself. And then that's where you see the growth. But for me, it's the mental game of it. Like it is such a huge mental game. You spoke about like obviously your past open experiences where you did revisit and you wanted to do better, and then you touched base on how this year you took a different approach, which was great. What takeaways do you think you've had from this open? Like I know I wouldn't say I've been dwelling on it for the past week, but now that it's done, like I'm doing a lot of reflection on the open, like mentally and physically. What's your takeaways from the open now that it's done?
I think my takeaway is it's super hard, I think, when I've gone into it with no expectations, because I think this year, if I was to answer this completely honestly, I think this year, looking at my results and I guess seeing where I sat worldwide and seeing where I sat in Australia, and I guess this is going to be kind of very hard to say, I guess, is I don't see myself like that. So I guess my biggest takeaway is I struggle a lot with, I guess, my self-worth in a sense. Is I look at those results and go, oh, like I didn't deserve that. But then I guess the biggest takeaway this year is that the numbers don't lie. I didn't go in with the expectation of being in the top 1,000 women in Australia. I don't look at myself and think that I am that fit. So I think my biggest takeaway is I feel I need to do some work on reflecting on that, would be my biggest takeaway, is because I enjoyed it and I love it and I love the sport, and I feel that the mental capacity that you sort of touched on just before, that you realize that you've had, I feel like I've always known that I've had, but I didn't believe or conceive that this is where it's gotten me to. I'm not too sure if that makes sense in complete words, but it's kind of like I look at those results and everyone's like, far out, like that's really good, you should be really proud, like holy shit. And I look at it and I'm like, I don't see myself like that.
Yeah. It's like it's like when people compliment you and you don't believe it, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, like whatever. You just kind of like brush it off. But like the numbers are in front of you. So what was that? Like in Australia, you were 545? 500?
Yeah, 47 out of like 6,500 women in Australia. And I don't know, I guess I do like it in a sense that I'm humble, but I also don't know, I guess my biggest takeaway is I don't know how to be proud of myself in terms of that. Like I'm extremely proud year on year that I've improved, but I don't feel like my biggest takeaway for me is I think to be a little bit kinder to myself and actually enjoy my results, not just be like brush it off.
Yes, exactly right. And I feel like as like PTs, like a good example is to be like, okay, Ash, if like, okay, you were talking to a client right now, or a client was saying exactly what you were saying, like what would you say to them? So like, for example, right now for me, I'm thinking, Ash, go back and do journaling, like do reflection, like literally write down all the hard work you put in, week out, like where were you last year or the year before, and where have you come this year? Like literally write it down, do the reflection, and whether that's even reflecting and touching base on that once a week, or like, having that consistency of that kind of reflection, because it's so easy to go, oh yeah, like it's done, and just kind of brush it off and okay, back into the daily grind and move on. But we have to pull ourselves up in these moments and credit ourselves, because as coaches
100%.
and trainers, we'd be fucking clapping the shit out of our clients right now and sending them big messages of gratitude and congratulating them and probably posting about them. And it's like, why are we not doing that for ourselves? Like, we have to practice what we preach.
100%. Like, I think I've journaled every day probably for the last 3 years for that pure reason, is that realizing that, again, another reason that leads me to CrossFit, and I guess, I'm kind of going off tangent here, but leads me to CrossFit is because the mental ability, the ability to be able to switch everything off that's going on and right now, and it's only me and that dumbbell and what I can do in that moment is all within my control of my mental attitude. And I feel like that's the biggest takeaway, but I think what people don't realize, and I guess the takeaway from me has nothing to do physically this year, it's more about a mental thing. Like, people go, you're such an inspiration. Look at how far you've come. Like, congratulations with your results. But brushing it off, I think, for me, is a massive red flag in terms of my self-worth within myself.
Yeah.
Would be my biggest takeaway. And it's so easy, as you said, as a PT, and I congratulate everybody else. I make everybody else feel good about themselves. But yet I'm the first person to push my results this year under the carpet. Like, technically speaking, if we were to put the proof in the pudding, like you just said, the numbers don't lie.
Exactly right.
That's in the top 1,000 people in Australia. Like, how many people are in Australia? Like, yes, there might have only been so many women that registered for that, but like, I am proud, but I'm super humble to the point where I think it's detrimental to my mental health.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree, because that's my biggest takeaway from this is, like, my mentality and my mental health. Do you feel like, so then after the Open, instead of like sitting with your results and being proud of yourself and happy and reflecting and looking and knowing your worth and your progress, do you feel like you're going, okay, where am I going next, or what am I doing next, or moving the goalpost further?
Well, see, I guess I learned that lesson a long time ago, which actually makes sense now you brought it up, Katie, is that the last 3 years, my different approach to the Open has been all because of the lesson that I learned of I'll be happy when, and constantly going, I'll be happy when I get this, and then when you get that, it's not good enough. So I think for me, I've always split my year up into two and gone CrossFit for one bit and powerlifting for the other bit. So I guess that question's really hard in terms of, instead of, reflecting on that, going, where am I going to be? Oh, that wasn't good enough. I kind of gone, yep, okay, the Open's done. I'm really proud of that. Okay, now I'm about to take on the powerlifting platform in 2 weeks. So it's like my focus straight away switches to what am I going to be able to lift on that platform? Where's my next challenge? So I guess that question's that's a really hard thing. I think maybe I've conditioned myself to already get out of that mentality because I know how unhealthy that is.
Yeah, definitely.
And like, I think I always talk to a lot of my clients about that. I actually have a podcast on that, is I'll be happy when, and it's like, you know what, we get one life. Like, be happy in this moment. And I think, like, the Open, obviously, as you said, like, it teaches you a lot about your mental health. But I think, I've always just split my year up into training and gone, yep, okay, there's a couple of CrossFit things that I want to work on and I want to get stronger. But other than that, I just consistently keep turning up, and my focus is, as I said, I take the powerlifting platform in 2 weeks. So my focus straight away was, okay, like, right, let's get my head in the game for this one and show up for myself.
And I think it's even then going, like, because I totally get that. It's like, I'll be happy when, because like throughout the Open, I was like, well, I'll be happy if I can just do that muscle up, or I'll be happy, or it'll be good enough if I can. But then it's like, well, no, because it's like, really, like, when are we happy? When is it good enough? And like, I look back on, past experiences within, the health and fitness industry and training. And I'm like, at what point, Katie, did you get there and go, this is it? Now I'm happy. Now I'm proud. Now it's good enough. Like, that goalpost that expectation just keeps moving forward. And so like I really felt like my head was in a rut over that 3-week period of the Open, and I was really fucking harsh on myself. And it's only now that it's done and dusted that like I'm reflecting every day, and it's like I was not completely present at all. I was always trying to achieve and go higher and higher and higher. But it's like you say, like, you'll be happy when, but what is that? What is happy? What is happy? Or when is happy? Because let's be honest, Katie, you could go back and revisit it and I'll get a PB, but I was still then walking out of that session that I've done twice that I PB'd on going, should have done this, should have done that. And it's like, fuck me, Katie, you just revisited it, you got a PB and you're still not happy. So it's that kind of takeaway from the Open that I think people just don't even realize until you're in the moment. Like they just think, oh, yep, they're getting out there and lifting heavy and moving fast to see what they can achieve. But it's such a huge mental game, and it reflects your self-development, your self-growth. Like it's a huge game changer.
Yeah, literally 100%. And I feel like your whole next 12 months of training, I feel you're going to take on so differently, because not every workout, I think this is also going to be that whole I'll be happy when situation. Not that workout was never good enough, I could have done better. Yeah, we could have done better. But consider the circumstances, considering the day you showed up and you gave it all you got.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's fucking good enough. Like,
that is.
At the end of the day, like, it's not like we're getting $1 million for doing this. Like, we're putting our body through hell. Like, people that redo them 3 times, 4 times, at what point do you go, unless you get an injury, like, and that you spoke about that. It's like, at what point is your body going to fight back, and is it really worth it?
Yeah. And I think sorry, continue.
No, I think like, I guess like it's the same with any journey. I think like if anyone's listening to this and is doing any sort of journey, I think learn to enjoy the process and the outcome comes.
Yeah.
The more you fight the process, the further and further away that outcome is.
Yeah, exactly
because
right.
It seems too hard. You could have done better. You could have done it differently. Well, guess what? You fucking didn't.
Yeah.
And just enjoy the process whilst you're there. Enjoy the ability to do what you can do. We can always be better. There's always going to be somebody out there that's better.
Oh,
but
100%.
What matters is that you were better than what you were yesterday. Like, you were 20,000% better than what you were last year, Katie.
Yeah. And it's only now that I'm out of it and it's over and whatever that I'm going, shit, I was like 40,000 something last year and now I'm in the 19,000 range, like early 19,000. So I was like, okay, that's a big jump. But I think my biggest thing at the moment, I really have to pull myself up and go, okay, if I was talking to a friend right now or a client, what would I be telling them? And I think it's that kind of talk that we need to start to have with ourselves, because we're just way too hard on ourselves all the time. Like I was like, I'll do this last workout, whether my hand's bloody broken or fractured or sprained or not, I'm getting it done. But I just want to get this last workout done, and then I'll get my x-ray. And off I went, I got my x-ray and whatever. But then straight away this week I've been trying to jump straight back into normal training. And I'm like, Katie, your hand is injured, like you've got to pull yourself up. But then it was so hard for me to be like, oh, like training's not the same, like I'm not doing what I should be doing. And again, I was just back into that cycle. So I've really had to pull myself up and be like, you know what, you're going to do some serious damage if you do not be kinder to yourself and be a little bit more gentle. So I'm now trying to slow down that little bit, still moving, but doing, listening to your body, and then also all of that reflection, which I think would be great for you before, you get so focused on the powerlifting, is, having a look at how far you come and what you achieved. So just going over your results for you then, what was your end result when you placed in Australia?
Let me just. So I think, and which I always look on that and I reflect on that year on year. I guess, as I said, being if I just have a little look, my first logged Open was 2018. Wow. I did do 2016, but didn't log the workout. in time before cutoff. And then I threw the towel in and had a tantrum. So
that would have been me. How annoying.
So I was like, well, what's the point of doing it? So I guess year on year for me, this year I have placed worldwide, let me just go back into it. So 6,426 out of 95,000 people in the world.
Wow.
Which is in the top 10,000. So for me, that is massive, considering that if I was to reflect on 2024, I placed 14,000 in the world. The year before that, 16,000. Year before that, 15,000. Year before that, 25,000. And again, so that was the year, 2021, the year that everything changed, when I took expectations after my second baby.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that in 2020, I placed in the top 10,000, and then I went backwards by 15,000 places.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was happier then without any expectation.
Yeah.
So, like, I think, yeah, when I read these results out, I guess, Katie, it's funny with everything that you've said, and it's, I guess, you know, through these podcasts, it's people are probably helping others, but deep inside, things that we're saying out loud, we're kind of helping each other. And I think, I guess you sort of made me realize, like, looking at these results, like, I look at them and I go, oh my God, like 545th in Australia out of 6,000 women, like I don't see myself as being that fit. Like, fuck, like I'm proud, like with everything that I've been through, running a business, having 2 kids, you know, still trying to train myself and showing up every day for me.
But
And
also
got me.
the personal, which we don't have to go into, but me just knowing the personal challenges that you have faced throughout this Open, and you've still shown up and got those kind of results. So there's been a few bad days, if not bad weeks, as of late for you on a personal level, and you've still been able to pull through with results like that. So that's huge.
Like when you put it like that, like I guess, you know, again, like I think, you know, everybody in their life has some shit times, but I guess like when you put it like that, I've had blow after blow over the last 3 weeks of the Open.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess like I will share with everybody, like one of them was getting skin cancer results, like, you know, and waiting to get a skin cancer cut out. And I think the Friday that I found out was the second Open workout. It was the first Open workout, sorry. I found out at 9 o'clock, and I turned up to the Open at 4:30, and I was angry and I was upset and I wanted to cry for me. But you know what? I wasn't there for any other reason but to prove to myself that I could do it. And yeah, I guess looking at my results, I think I definitely need to be a little bit kinder to myself and be proud. Like in Oceania, women, I placed in the top 1,000 out of 7,000 women, which, you know, again, like 7,000 women, you know, I guess they're saying more than half of them have probably had shit times over the last 3 weeks as well.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, looking at that, like I am fucking proud of that. And it also goes to show that all these years of hitting the gym floor has built my resilience up to continue to show up and not give up.
Yeah, showing up no matter what, and no matter what that looks like, whether it's a good workout or a bad workout, you show up. That's the important thing, the consistency and the self-discipline of showing up.
100%. Like it doesn't matter. Some workouts feel like shit.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
Like Saturday last week, I didn't want to fucking go to the gym.
Yeah.
I could have thought of heaps of better things to do at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
But my alarm went off. I had 5 hours sleep. Like that week, I just put my dog down for fuck's sake. Like I didn't want to do anything. But, you know, I got up and I went, and just turning up, it didn't matter how many kilometers I ran on the treadmill that morning, how many reps I got in my leg press. The fact that I turned up and went is progress.
Yeah, because
so I think, yeah, I guess.
Sorry, I was going to say playing like the poor me card gets us nowhere. Like life happens, challenges are happening every day, week in, week out. It's how we handle it and how we show up is what's important. And you definitely, I have learnt this from you, you do not play the poor me card at all. And that's not saying that you ignore your feelings or you try and brush anything off. It's very important to acknowledge what we're going through and that they're hard times and speak about how we're feeling and reach out for help. But you don't do the poor me card and just throw your hands in the air. And your results show that. So I hope that's something you can definitely think about when you do your reflection on the Open.
Yeah, 100%. But what about you, Katie? Like, where were you from last year to this year?
So last year, I like worldwide, as I said earlier, I started about like 40,000. And then this year I was 19,177. So that's quite a big jump for me. So I think that put me this year in the 79th percentile. And then like when you said Australia held about 6,150 women, I placed 1,501. So yeah, it's crazy. And like I'd sit here now just like looking at those figures and I'm like, oh shit, like that's not too bad. Like you've been doing this for 12 months, Katie. Like I was just so hard on myself those 3 weeks of the Open. So, but I need this reflection after it to realize how far I've come. Like, yeah, okay, I wasn't nice to myself in the moment, but now that it's done, I'm glad that I can pull myself up on it and I can talk to you about it and I can, yeah, kind of like peel away the layers. And I guess doing this kind of reflection, like this is reflection, just talking with you now on this podcast, like that's what's really going to help us grow more from that Open. It's not just physically doing those 3 workouts, it's how we handle it and what we do after it as well. So go us. I'm very proud of us.
Yeah, from where we've come to where we are at, and everything in between, like 100% I feel the biggest takeaway that I can see from you is that you were way, way, way too hard on yourself. Like some people only improve by 100 each year.
Yeah.
And even just giving a reflection back on my results, like 1 year I went backwards 15,000 places.
Yeah.
You know, like to improve by 20,000 places in just 12 months, Katie.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking massive.
Yeah, it is. And I guess like you say it, and I'm sitting here like a little girl, like, yeah. Because you just don't want to accept it because it's hard to believe because you're like, oh, well, I could have done better. It wasn't that great. But it's like, shut up, Katie. Like, listen to what she's saying. Look at the numbers.
Well, that's exactly right. Like, yeah, 100% you could have done better, but we have lives. We are human beings.
Yeah, so
like,
true.
We are not robots. And last time I checked, both of our undies are on the inside of our pants, not on the outside. We're not fucking superwomen.
Far from it.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is real life. Like, we still have lives to live, children to raise, businesses to run. Like, we both run businesses. We both have families. Like, to improve by 20,000 places in just 12 months, like, even if I was, you know, comparison is always the thief of joy, I've always said, but if you even compare them to my results, not 1 year did I jump up by 20,000 places, Katie.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It is a big one,
like
isn't
that,
it?
Yeah, like that is in itself like a huge achievement. And that just goes to show, like, you know, you don't need to change anything. You just keep turning up and being you, and the potential's there.
Exactly right. Yeah. And I think like,
you know, it doesn't, yeah.
Yeah. And I think just like, you know, I've been doing the reflection in my head, but I think what I suggested to you, sitting down and actually journaling and physically writing it down, I think we need to definitely be more kind and more present with ourselves. That's probably my biggest takeaway from this.
Yeah, mine is definitely, I struggle to accept compliments, and I think that comes from, I guess if we were to get really deep, I think that comes from my own self-worth.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
I don't feel that I'm worth it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And saying that out loud, like, you know, I guess even you could probably relate to that in a little bit, looking at your results, like, you know, 20,000 improvement is massive. Like, you earned that and you deserved that. But do you know what I mean? Like, whether you thought you were worth it.
Yeah. It's a huge and it's a big mental challenge. The expectations we place on ourselves and never feeling good enough. So I'm so glad we've been able to join each other today and talk about that so openly and just being real and raw. And I know there's going to be a lot of people, that do take the time to listen. They're going to be able to relate, and it might not even be in the instance of doing CrossFit. It might just be in mum life or work life or in relationships or whatever's going on for them. So I think that's really important to touch on. So thank you so very much.
Yeah, I definitely think that this podcast can help a lot of people in terms of relation, that, they might look at us, like, as I said, with our undies on the outside and sometimes think, you guys are super women, like, how do you do that? Like, but, they're not inside our brains. So hopefully today, listening to this, if there's any takeaways that they can take from that, is that inside our brain doesn't operate any differently. I think the only thing that's different is how we choose to play our cards. We're all dealt with the same cards, the same thought patterns, and I guess what we do from that. So I think I appreciate you inviting me to this podcast, and I can't wait to share it with all of our listeners. And I'm sure now we've done one, I feel like there is so much that we could share with people, just even the 10 years of experience of knowing each other. I definitely think there is so much more we can share with everybody to help people get through any hard times.
100%. Power team right here.
That's it. Well, definitely stay posted for our next CrossFit Talk. That's going to be fun.
Yes. Countdown is on, Open 2026. No pressure. No pressure.
Our next CrossFit Comp in June, it'll be our slogan, stay in our own lane.
Yes, let's change our team name.
100%. Well then, thank you for having me today, Katie, and I look forward to sharing this with everybody.
Thank you.